Hi everyone, this is Rachel from the Marks Group Live. This is a webinar that we did on September 27th, 2019 that talks about workflow and automation in Zoho CRM. Please stay tuned, and if you have any questions about any of the topics that were covered, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer them. Enjoy! Let's get this going. Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Sosha and I am one of the trainers uh, for um, for Zoho in Marks Group Live. And today we're doing one of our webinars that's going to focus in on workflows and automation in Zoho CRM. There's a lot of things you can automate throughout the Zoho suite of products. Today I'm really just going to focus on creating workflows and how to basic set up a workflow. There are some advanced things you can do. We'll go over briefly webhooks. We'll go over custom functions. I'm not going to go so deeply into that today because it's very, very complex and very, very customizable to, your specific needs. We do have videos on those, so feel free to check them out and then ask us for help. Maybe in the future, if there's a lot of interest, we will do a webinar specifically on those two functions because we could talk for an hour about just them. I'm going to try to keep this presentation to about 45 minutes. I'll leave questions for the end. I said briefly before, if you have some questions while I'm going through the presentation, feel free to drop them in the question box. I'll answer them if I can on the fly. If not, I'll answer them at the end. All right, other than that, please feel free, as you already know, check out our video library where all of our Zoho training videos are. We're adding about 5 new videos a month. We also have our blog where we're doing overviews of a lot of the Zoho products, how you can use them, and then we go into the nitty gritty about how you actually use them in the videos. So the blog is more what are the applications for these programs. The videos are how do you go about using them. And as I said before, if you have any thoughts of things you might want for a webinar, let us know. We have our webinars scheduled out into the first week of December, but we hold them every other week, and we want to cater to what you guys want, what our users and subscribers want to see. So if you have questions about certain things, please drop us a line. You can drop me at marksgroup.net, Rachel at marksgroup.net, or you can drop the info at marksgrouplive.com, and we will get one of those webinars up and running. So that is my little pre-speech. I'll turn off my camera so you don't have to look at my face. You can really concentrate on what's important, which is automations and workflows in Zoho CRM. So here's what we're going to learn today. What is a workflow in Zoho? What are the basic things you can do with a workflow? I'm going to do a demo about how you build a workflow. Those advanced workflow actions, as I spoke about, webhooks and custom functions. And then we're going to go over macros, which are automation, but they're workflow adjacent. They're kind of hidden in the CRM program. I'll teach you about what they are, how to create one, and how to run one. So what is a workflow in Zoho CRM? All right. So a workflow is a little bit different than how the term workflow is used in most business. For many businesses, the workflow is, what do you do? What is your process? When you are acquiring a new lead, maybe you call them and then you reach out to them and then you do a site visit. That is your workflow. In Zoho CRM or the whole Zoho business suite, a workflow is anything that you can automate. So we like to say here, if you can map it out on a piece of paper in a flowchart, you can automate it for a workflow. So just to boil that down, a workflow is an action that happens when another action is completed. So essentially, if this happens, then that happens. If you eat that delicious looking donut ice cream sandwich, you might feel sick. If my daughter has a great day playing at the beach, she's going to be able to nap everywhere. If this happens, then that happens. So if in your business or in your CRM, a certain thing happens, then a series of automations will happen that will be a bunch of tasks, events, different things that will fire off um, on a certain event happening. So here are some things that you can automate in Zoho CRM. You can automate what leads are going to go to which particular sales reps. You can automate creating tasks for client follow-ups. So if a client is converted from a lead to an actual client, X amount of things can automate for people to follow up and continue business. You can automate certain things in your sales process. If there's a big deal that's about to be closed, you can automate an email to go to your manager to double check to make sure if everything's good. You can generate leads from your website or social media platforms. That would be using the webhook tools. You can send out emails, welcome emails when a lead is created. We're going to go over that today. Thank you emails when a deal is closed, birthday emails on a person's birthday with maybe a discount coupon. And as I said, if you can map it out, you can automate it. So let's go ahead and talk about the meat of our presentation, how you can build a workflow. So let me get that going here. Just switch what you're seeing. All right, here we are at our Zoho homepage. We use Zoho 1. If you use a different version of Zoho, Zoho Plus or something else, things might look a little bit different, but just here on this homepage. So we're going to go to our setup portion of the program. So you do that up in this corner with the little wrench and screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here we are at our setup page. This training account that we have for our webinars and our videos, we have the least restrictive settings on it. So we are like a super administrator. So if you don't see all of these things in your setup page, maybe that's because you don't have the super administrator view on. Maybe you are just an administrator or a user. So we're going to go to the automation, which is over here in the right-hand side, and we're going to start up here at workflow rules. So let me just go over this page a little bit. Here is going to be a list of your workflows. We don't have a lot here. I know people that have 10, 15, 20 different workflows that fire off on a certain action. Because this is a training account, I try to keep it neat. I try to keep it clean for people to easily see things. Over here at the all status, this is a toggle button that lets you activate or deactivate different workflows. So you don't have to delete a workflow if you make it. You might be taking some time to really map out exactly what you want for a specific workflow. If it's a little more complex, it might take you a couple of days or weeks to configure. You can have them active or non-active. So I clicked on the toggle here to deactivate this test workflow, and it's going to confirm that when I deactivate the workflow, does it want me to delete any scheduled actions that might happen? We'll go over scheduled actions in a minute. I'm just going to say delete and then continue. So this workflow is inactive. All you have to do is press the toggle button and it'll reactivate the workflow. So this is really good to do. Again, if you're creating a workflow, you don't want everything to fire off right away. You want to work out the kinks a little bit before you start using it. You can start and take your time to create it. All right, so this big deal rule is a rule that comes out of the box. You can use it, you cannot use it. I'm just going to go ahead and create custom rules. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this blue create a rule button. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select which module this rule is for. Now, I said before, I'm going to make this a send a welcome email rule when a new lead is created. So essentially what this means is when a new lead is created, a welcome email is going to go out to that lead saying, welcome to Mark's Group Live. Thank you for joining us. Yada, yada, yada. And maybe some other actions we can think of will also fire off when this rule is created. So you're going to select which module you want this rule to be for. I'm going to select the leads module. You can select any of the modules you have in your CRM for a workflow rule. You can create them in any module. Click leads, and then you have to name the rule. I will call this welcome rule. If you've ever seen one of my trainings or been in one of my webinars, you know that I am not good at talking and typing at the same time, so please forgive any typos that I make. So next you're going to add a description if you want. You don't have to, but I will just for demo's sake. A welcome email will be sent when a lead is created. Next. All right, so then it's going to take you to your flow chart where you are going to build this rule. So in the leads module, you have 3 options for building a rule or firing off a workflow. Not every lead has this option, mostly because one of the options is based on score and not every module has a scoring rule. So the first option you have is on a record action. This is what we're going to do, so I'm going to come back to that in a minute. The next one is on a specific date or time. So this is really good for that birthday scenario I said. If you want to send out a birthday email, you can choose a specific date or time that this action is executed on, or X amount of days after a lead is created or a sale is closed or something like that. Based on a score is something that you'll only find in the leads module, because if you're familiar with the leads module, your leads are scored based on how cool, hot, warm they might be. So you can maybe create a workflow that will create a task for a sales rep to reach out to a client if their scores decreased and all of a sudden they seem to be cooling off, or go in there and close that deal if their scores increase, something like that. But today we're going to do on a record action. So this means when something happens to a record, either it's created or edited, a specific field is updated in the module or in the record, or the record is deleted. Today we're going to do when the record is created, because as I said, an email will be sent out saying welcome to Mark's Group Live when a record is created. Go ahead and click on the next button and it will take me to the first condition. So the condition is what leads are these applying to? So there are 2 options here. You can match certain conditions or you can do all leads. Today we're going to do all leads for our actual workflow we're setting up, but I just want to go over the different conditions. So you can, when you click on the drop-down menu here, this gives you every single field and activity that is in this lead. So let's say I only want this email to get sent out to clients who live in New York. Let's see. I'll put state here. So I chose state. That's the field of the condition that this workflow would fire off for. And then you could choose is, isn't, contains, doesn't contain, starts with, ends with, is empty, non-empty. But as I said, in this fantasy scenario, we are only firing this off to leads that are from New York. So the state is, and then you can go ahead and write in what it is. Now, not everywhere in Zoho has a drop-down menu. If there's a drop-down like pick list, then you can put what that pick list says, so New York. But if there's a chance to type out the field and you think that anyone might write something different than just NY for New York, they might write New York, they might write New York as a typo, who knows. you're gonna want to put those all in there, and you can just separate them by commas. That way, anything matching any of these fields would show up. I would do the same for, if the city was Philadelphia, I'd write Philadelphia, Philly, Phila, or any other common typos. But today we're actually going to make this workflow for all leads. All right. So I'm going to click on the next button. Going a little slow there. And then we have our actual actions that are going to fire off when this workflow starts. So you have instant actions and scheduled actions. This might be a little bit redundant or obvious, but instant actions are things that happen right away. So in this case, as soon as a new lead record is created, these things will happen. The scheduled actions will happen after a certain amount of time that this workflow is fired off. So in this case, a certain amount of time after the lead record is created. So there are a few actions that you can do. You can create an email notification, which is what we're going to do today. You can create a task. You can update a field. You can add a tag. So maybe you can do a workflow that if you do a whole big import from your website and you want the tag website lead to come up, it'll automatically tag that those leads. Webhook is where you will involve a third-party app. Function is if there are things here that, if there are things that you need to do that aren't listed here, you can customize and create a function for it to happen. But the first thing we're going to do is create an email notification. So when you click on email notification, it will take you to these email templates. Now, these are all things that we have created. Not many of them will come out of the box, if any of them. I don't think any of these come out of the box. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to show you what it looks like to create a new email notification. So I'm going to click this create new email notification box up here. And it allows you to name this notification. So I will call this Marks Group Live Welcome Email. And then you can choose who is going to be the recipient of this email. So when you choose this, this will give you any fields that might have an email in it from the leads module. So I'm going to say that this email will go to whatever is populated in the leads email field. You can add secondary email if you want. You can add owner, which is the owner of the record. You can add the creator, which is whoever created the record. It might be different, or the manager. I always like to loop in the manager and the owner if you're creating a workflow for something like a deal and you're wanting to approve, a really big deal with lots of money coming in and out. But today, this is just going to go to the email of the lead record that's created. You can add additional recipients here. This will allow you to add in an email that might not be in your CRM. For this particular option, or for this particular example, I don't really know why you would do that, but you have the option here. They don't have to be populated in your CRM. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to select an email template. So this is going to take you to all of your templates that you created in Zoho Writer. Again, some of these are out of the box, some of these are not. Let's say the template that you need is not there, we can create a new one. Just one other little thing that I like to note is when you hover over, it tells you the open rate of the email, so who opened the email. Our open rates are kind of a bummer here because this is a testing environment and we send these emails to fake email addresses, so obviously no one's going to open them. But let me go ahead and create a new template. What this is going to do is it is going to open up Zoho Writer. We have videos on how to use the ins and outs of Zoho Writer. If you're not familiar with this, you can go ahead and look it up. You can also import your own email if you want to do that on a different program. So I'm going to click the blank basic template. And the first thing I'm going to do is enter the template name. So I'm going to call this Mark's Group Live Welcome Email. So this is the thing that will show up. This is the name that will show up when you're searching for the template. The next thing is the template subject. So this is the subject line that will come up in your email. So I'll call this Welcome to Mark's Group Live. And then you can go ahead and type your text. Hello. Thank you for your interest in Mark's Group Live. A representative. Whoa, baby. Told you I can't type and talk. Doesn't even know what I said. Representative will be reaching out to you shortly. Woof. So then you can add in your image, you can add in an image and text, you can add in buttons that go straight to your website, you can add in columns, you can add in a certain background, you can format it in any sort of way. You can also use mail merge to customize these. If you're not familiar with mail merge, this is where they will take information from certain fields in a record and populate it. So here you would maybe do that for hello name, hello Johnny, thank you for your interest in Mark's Group Live. We go over all about mail merge and how to use that also in our video library. I urge you to check it out if you don't know how to use it already. It is a very helpful tool. So you can preview this. This is not going to look very exciting. You can even send a test email to yourself to see what it looks like. But I'm just going to go ahead and save this because, again, this is just a test. So the template name, Welcome to Mark's Group Live email, you can choose which folder it will be in. I'm going to save it to my public email templates. That is an out-of-the-box folder that exists, and it just means that every user in in your Zoho CRM can see this email. Go ahead and save it. All right. So I'll drop down to the public email templates folder here, and I will find my Mark's Group Live email. Where is it? Oh, it's right at the top. And so that is the email that's going to go out. You can choose what email you want it to be sent from. It'll give you a drop down of any options. So your email, which for us is support@Mark's Group Live, you can send it from the current user's email, the record owner's email, or any other emails that are associated with your account. I'll just send it from support@Mark's Group Live. Save and associate. And there we go. That is the first action of our workflow. So when a record is created, we know that email we just created will go out, fire off to any new users or any new leads. I'm going to add another action here, which is I'm going to update the field. So this will allow me to change the field in the leads module that about contacted. So it will say that it's contacted. Let me just look. I'll show you which field I'm talking about quickly. Let's get into our CRM here. Go to our leads module. Check out Sally Smith. And the lead status is updated as contacted. So what this will do is it will automatically update from blank or not contacted to contacted because we know an email will be sent out. So let me show you how to create that. We're going to add new update. Now, as you can see, this has already been created multiple times because I've run this demo a few times. And what's really nice about workflows is if you've already created this particular action, you could just click on it and associate it. But I want to show you how to do that here in this demo. So let's name this lead status change to, oh, I already have that. I'll just take out status for clarity's sake. Contact it. All right, and then it will give you a drop-down menu of which field you want to change. You can search up here in the search bar, or you can roll down the menu. I'm going to do lead status, and then it will automatically populate what are the options, and I will say go ahead as contacted. Save and associate. So now, instantly when a new record is created, the welcome email will come, the lead will be changed to contacted, the lead status field will be changed to contacted, and I also want a task to be created. So I want a task to be created that says, reach out to this person within 5 days. So I'm going to create a new task. Again, like I said before, if you've made these already, you can just click on it and associate it. But I'm going to go ahead and make a new one so you can see how we do that. So I'll call this phone outreach within 5 days. So the first thing is, what is the due date? So the due date is the trigger date, which means the day the action is fired. So the day that, in this case, a new record is created, plus or minus, but plus however many days. So I'm going to say 5 days. So this will be due 5 days from the original date that the task happens, or that the lead is created. I'll put this as not started. So when the task was created, the status will be not started. And then you can change the priority. I'll say highest. And then you can assign a user. Now, for this particular action, I'm not going to assign any users, because as you can see here, if you do not assign a user, it will automatically be assigned to the record owner. Now with leads, you might have someone different importing your leads. They might be the owner at the time, but then it automatically is assigned to a new person. I want this to go to whatever sales rep or whatever marketing rep is in charge of dealing with this person. So I don't want it to be assigned to me or whoever, the current record owner is, if it kind of bounces around. You can notify the assignee. You can remind the assignee. Here you have the choice of when you want to remind them. I'll remind them on 9 a.m. 9 a.m. through a pop-up, which would be down here at the reminders on the day that it's due. Here you can add a description. Please make phone outreach to this new lead. And then I'll go ahead and save and associate. And here we go. So instant actions. Email notification will go out. Welcome to Mark's Group Live. You will have a task that's created. Please outreach to this client within 5 days. The update will change from the lead status field will update from not contacted to contacted. You can also schedule an action. So here you're going to execute this action however many hours, days, minutes after the lead is created. So I'll say 3 days after the lead is, let's do 5 days after the lead is created. And then again, you can choose what you want your action to be. Email notification, task, field update, webhook, function. I'm going to create another task. And I will say here, we'll just choose, I already did these, we'll do a new task. follow up with supervisor. We're not going to do this any trigger day. It's going to be 0 days after the 5 days that the lead was created. We'll also call this not started. We'll change this priority. Priority will stay high. I'll remind the assignee at 9 a.m. Same day it's due. And the description will be, please follow up with supervisor about the status of this new lead. Go ahead and save and associate. There we go. So then what we're going to do is we're going to save this workflow, and it's going to take us back to our main page, welcome rule. So automatically, as I said before, the workflow will be active. You can deactivate it while you're still working on it. You can see now how workflows can maybe have lots of different moving pieces, lots of different moving parts. You might want to leave it inactive until you're ready to fully fire it off. If you go ahead and hover over the workflow rule, you can delete it. I would not suggest deleting any workflows. You would have an unlimited amount. Just keep them inactive in case you ever want to come back to it. But it shows you which modules the workflow is used for. It'll show you when it will be executed, how many actions. You can hover over and it'll show you all of them. And then if it's modified, it'll also show you who modified it last if you hover over it. When you have lots of workflows, you can click on the all modules and it'll filter out which particular modules you might be looking for the workflow. So if I click on leads, it'll only show me workflows that are for the leads module. I'm going to go ahead and activate this welcome rule and show it to you in action. So let's create a new lead here. Just very basic. I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus button up here, which will allow me to add a new lead. Let's call this lead Mirabelle Sosha. It's my daughter's name. And I will give her an email. I'll give her my email so we can see the email go out as well. That's all that really needs to be filled out. Now, obviously, you'd fill out more here, but this, for the test purposes, I'm only going to waste our time filling out exactly what needs to be filled out. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So as you can see, I didn't fill out the lead status, but it automatically went to contacted. And then let me put this on hold for just a minute, and I will show you the email. Log into my email here. All right, let's see. Show you what's going on. So as you can see in my email, I have an email from Mark's Group Live Administrator. I'll go home and click on it, and that's the email that I made. Nothing too fancy, but there it is. Obviously, when you're doing this for your own welcome email, you'll make it look a little nicer. Put your logo in, all of that. So that is creating a basic workflow. Let's get back to our slideshow here. And let me get you back onto PowerPoint. All right, so as I said at the beginning, we're not really going to go over webhooks and the functions of webhooks in a lot of detail because they are very customizable to what you need. You need to know how to code and edit and write script, and it's a little bit complicated. That being said, we do have the videos on them if you want to learn all about them. So essentially what a webhook is when you are in your CRM and you want your CRM to interact with a third-party application, your website, your social media, sending an SMS text, thank you for doing business with us. This would be through a webhook. The functions feature essentially is anything, as I said before, that's not out of the box available for you to use as an automation. You can code it. You can write the script using the Deluge script editor to create that function. If you don't know how to write script, it can be a little difficult for you to figure out how to use the functions feature. It's not impossible though. Zoho on their website has a lot of different basic uses for the function, things that they see often for their clients. We can help a little bit, with the basic script that you might need to write to help you get what you might need. But as I said, it's different for every business. Everyone might need a little something different. And for the most part, the basic functions of automation should be covered with the out-of-the-box options from Zoho. But one of the things I do love about the Zoho program overall is that you can customize almost anything to make it work for you. All right, so the last thing I'm going to go over today is macros. I don't know if you've heard this term or if you're familiar with them as far as Zoho CRM. They're adjacent to what a workflow is. Essentially, macros are automated functions, but they're not fired off or triggered by a certain action. So let's go back to our CRM here, and let me tell you what I mean. So let's say you just created this new great workflow where you want a thank you email to be sent out to all of your new leads that are created. But before you did that, maybe earlier this morning, you just imported a whole bunch of leads in, all 20 of these leads you imported in, and you said, oh, dang, I really wish that I can send out a welcome email and I don't have to go through every single one of these leads to do that. That's where macros come in. So macros essentially, as I said, are a bunch of automated features, but you don't have to go through one by one and do every little piece of it. So how you get to macros is you want to click on a specific module that you're going to run the macro for. We'll stay here in the leads module. And I'm going to go ahead and click on all of these. Well, let me highlight all of them and then just take away Mirabelle because we already had that action fire off. And as you can see up at the top here, it says Run Macro. So you're going to click down on the drop-down menu, and if you have any macros saved, they'll show up. I don't right now, so you can go ahead and create a new macro. This looks very, very similar to, it is essentially similar to the workflows, but it looks a little bit different. So I'm going to call this the welcome email macro. Send a welcome email to records created before welcome email workflow was made. All right. So here you have a few actions. They're not, you don't have the webhooks, you don't have the functions option in the macro. You can just send an email, update a field, or create a task. So I'll go ahead and select a template. It's going to take me to my templates field. I'll click on Mark's Group Live welcome email. You can choose who you want this to be from. Keep the support at Mark's Group Live. And done. I'll also go ahead and update the field. I'll update it. I'll do the same thing. We'll update the lead status and we'll update it to contacted. And I will also add in the same task. So it looks exactly the same. It looks exactly the same as the workflow I just created. Contact this new lead. 5 days after the macro was run is when it will be due. The status, I will say not started. The priority will be highest. We'll assign it to whoever the record owner is. We'll notify that it's been made and we'll remind them. Same day as the due date at 9 a.m. And the alert mode will be pop up exactly as it was in the workflow. We're just creating it as a macro for those that weren't around or weren't created when the workflow was created. Go ahead and add. Don't know why this isn't saving for me. Let's see why that happened. Let's add this task again. Contact. Go ahead and add this. Status, not started, priority highest, assigned to record owner, notify, reminder. I don't know why that didn't work before. Same day as due date, 09 a.m. And the alert will be, something is not working with my reminder. I'm just going to cancel it for now so we don't waste time. I don't really know what that was. Every now and then Zoho gives me trouble like that, but here we are. All right. You can also have the choice to allow other users to use this macro. That's something I do want to touch on. So when you create a workflow, that is global for your users. They can all be a part of this workflow. They can't all edit the workflow, but you're going to apply it system-wide. A macro, you can do that. You can allow others to use it, or you can make it just for yourself. I'll click on other users, and I'll say all users. We do go into user groups in other videos, but I'm going to use all users. As it said here, if the shared user doesn't have permission to perform any of the listed actions in this macro, they won't be able to perform the actions. So if there is a, if a user isn't allowed to create a lead or isn't allowed to send emails to a lead, the email won't go out. But they will be able to, it won't go out if they're just sending a regular email, but it will go out if they run this macro. All right, so here we are. I'm going to go back to the leads module. I'm going to click on all of my people that I want to run this macro for, and then I'm going to go ahead and run macro. You see the welcome email as a choice. Go ahead and click it, and it tells you exactly what will happen, and you have the chance to decide if you want to run it or not before you go ahead and run it. The lead status field will be updated. An email will be sent using the Markets Group Live welcome email template. A task with the subject contact will be created. I'll go ahead and run it. There we go. It's taking a little bit of time to load because it's sending emails to 19 people. But here we go. And that's complete. So if we go ahead and click on me, Rachel Sosha, you'll see that a new action has been created from 3 days from now to contact. It's due 3 days from now. You'll see that I will have been contacted. Oh, I've already been moved to the pre-qualified stage, so I didn't go from nothing to contacted because I'm already pre-qualified for something that I've been working on, but if I wasn't already pre-qualified, I would be changed to contacted. And that's it. Let's see, let me find this task here quickly here we go. This is the task that was created in this macro. So that is it. I will give you guys a few minutes if you have any questions before I end the webinar. You can feel free to drop them in the box. I will answer them. If not, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar in a few minutes. I really appreciate you joining me today. Our next webinar in 2 weeks at 10 a.m. is going to be on blueprints. We will send out an email for signups for that probably next week sometime. Feel free to give us any feedback. Feel free to let us know if there's anything else you would like to see for webinars. All right, Andrew, thank you for your question. So for those of you that can't see the question is, we're a Zoho One customer. Which would be better for the welcome email? Would it be better via a workflow, in the CRM, or in the Zoho campaigns? So that actually really just depends on when you want the email to be sent out. Both are both will get you the same results. I personally like it in the CRM, because that way, anytime a new lead is generated, the email will be sent out. In the campaigns, it can get a little tricky to keep track of who got a welcome email, who didn't. You want to make sure that all of that information is kind of pushed through into your CRM. But I like knowing, as soon as someone new is contacted, I know an email is going to go out. As soon as someone new is put into my CRM, an email is going out. I don't have to think about it. There it is. Not just if someone's interacting with my marketing campaign, then an email will be sent out. Does that make sense? You're welcome. Andrew said thank you for those of you that are watching in the in post. All right, I will go ahead and close out the webinar for now. Andrew, I know you're still in here. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or email Corey or info@marksgrouplive.com. One of us can answer your questions. And other than that, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch or join us today. And we will see you in our next webinar coming up in 2 weeks at 10 a.m. Blueprints. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you there. All right, bye-bye.